Hey, toy fanatics. Whoa, I know, right? He's going green in envy. And of course, shield and axe, maniacal, makeup, and an evil laugh. It tells me that obviously he is something more. Oh, an explosion? Who are you?
Joker!
He's a Joker, and we're actually reviewing a Joker figure, much like the Batman figure that we reviewed not too long ago. That's kind of done the same 5.5-inch scale. We're doing DC's Primal Age Joker. Yes, from Funko Toys. This is another one of those fun ones that I think that we're gonna get into and hope that we don't have a repeat like the Thundercats, right? We don't want the Mum-Ra incident with another bad guy. But hopefully this one will turn out to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course we got a Batcave playset coming up too that we're gonna have to pose them in and get them all set up. So what do you say? How shall we take this away today?
Let's start the show with a bang.
Alright, toy fans. So, of course, DC Primal Age the Joker here in his card. So we've got a nice slender style He-Man base card, but done in the DC style where you have, of course, the more comic book illustrated background, the explosion in the back. And I love how he stands on the card. Like, he looks pretty menacing in this scale. And that is the 5.5-inch scale, much like He-Man. Of course, brought by DC and Funko Toys. And if we go ahead and look at the back, we've got more cross-sell art. Now, we've looked at this when we looked at He-Man, and it's going to be the same thing. We have this nice collect them all cross-sell art in the back. Of course, we have Batman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Scareglow, Wonder Woman, Mr. Freeze, King Shark, and the Joker, which we're reviewing today. So there's not a lot of change in the card art from the front to the back. Pretty much everything I've discussed with Batman is going to be here too, with the exception of the name on the front, the Joker. And if you want to just look, just to see that comparison, Batman, Joker, and each card itself is basically the same except for the difference in the nameplates on the front. Now, like many other card arts in the past, we'll compare them to the Savage World Thundercats, also made by Funko Toys. So again, nice slender cards, very tall, and kind of, harking back to the 80s when you had these tall, long cards and massive figures on them. And if you want to go back more to the 80s, Super 7's Masters of the Universe for TV. So if you kind of look at the two, you can really see the inspiration for the Primal Age here by looking at the Masters card art. The explosions in the back, behind the figure, and even the way that the nameplates and the logos are put on. Very similar to one another. And just for the sake of Mattel, since Mattel did it, we're going to compare it to their new Masters of the WW Universe. Kind of the same vein, exploding rocks behind, some sort of explosion, nameplate at the top, and then of course an area to show who the figure is. And of course with that, that's the Joker, and that's all there is to the card art. These card arts are pretty basic, so each one's going to be pretty much the same except for this nameplate here. That's the only way to tell them apart from one another. But if you go to the back, they're all the same. No file cards, nothing that's going to indicate any sort of clip away or extra information about them. They're all going to be the same front and back for the DC Primal Age except for this. Well, I could sit here and we could stare at this Joker even longer, but I'd say let's cut him out and figure out what's going on inside. Alright, and then of course here is our Joker. Now, some of the details in this are just phenomenal, and there's a few paint apps I felt like were a bit of a miss on him, but all in all, I think he's a solid figure. When I first saw him, I actually didn't necessarily like him quite as much, but as I've gotten in and started looking at him, I'm finding all these small subtleties that really make him the Joker. So let's start looking at him. This is our 5.5-inch Joker. Let's start with this shield over here, okay? Now his shield is actually a cool diamond design, and it's kind of a muted gold look, so it's kind of a bad guy gold. And I love the fact that it has the Joker head here, but then it has almost like a ponytail, like a barbarian style ponytail coming out of the back with a few scrapes and bumps in there. Now, he also has the same type of clip as Batman, and this one tends to be a little bit smaller than Batman's clip, so it's really meant for the Joker, and it's really meant to fit about right there on his arm. I am often afraid of that breaking, but not as much as the Batman one. This one doesn't feel quite as brittle, so that's really cool shield design. I dig this shield design a lot. Now, the next thing I wanted to look at here was his axe. Now, I absolutely love this axe. If you turn it upside down, one of the things I didn't notice is that it makes it's like a J, well, let's see, was it J goes that way? Yeah. It makes like a J design, so it's very much Joker-esque in its look and feel. Same gold here, kind of comes and hooks up. And then you've got a nice brown tone here for the handle, and then some purple wrap there that kind of ties it back to the Joker. Now, one thing to note about this is that this handle is a little thick, so getting it in his hand sometimes is a little bit of a trouble. You really kind of want to start from up here and see if you can force it down into his hand. Now, let's look at the main attraction here, the Joker. Now, the Joker, all in all, is a super cool figure. I never would have thought of him as being this super bulked up, kind of maniacal, barbarian, He-Man style. And I think that's what threw me off. It's like, well, it doesn't make any sense. Especially up here, because I always thought this was a turtle shell, but what it is, it's actually all the card designs. So you think about all the card designs, diamonds, spades, clubs, and hearts, all built into the top of his shoulder pauldron here. Then he's got nice purple belts that go across here with gold relief painting in there. And then this flower is actually a separate piece that's molded on, so you've got his spray flower. But one of the things I wanted you to see is up here, he's got small details where he's got ha 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 cut in on his body, much like Victor's has. And I just thought that was a nice touch. It was very cool. The nice gold band here is very piratey in nature, and then even like his wrist guards here are actually kind of like just material that's been sewn together in two tones of purple. And I love the fact that he has two daggers. Now these daggers are non-removable. They are actually glued into place along with this loincloth piece. But it goes all the way around and glues into place. And it's really hard to tell where the beginning and the end of that is and how it's glued in there. Now it's glued very well. Now my particular Joker that I got, he is stiff. So his head tilts from side to side, so you've got swivel jointing there. You do have swivel jointing in the arm, but one thing to keep in mind is this shoulder pauldron here. It does hinder some of the articulation. It can only go back that far. It can only go forward that far because this does stand in the way, cause some issues. Of course, you've got full range swivel here. You got swivel with the waist, and these tend to get in the way when you're going this direction, but you know, you got a full range this direction. And then of course, ball jointed legs. Now mine's pretty tight, so it doesn't feel quite as loose. So there's a couple times I've been really afraid of moving his legs, but you know, this is a Joker, so let's fit his shield back on. Let's get his axe back in his hand. And one thing to note, the way that hand is sculpted, it is hard to get that axe in. So I found the trick is really go down, snap it in his hand, and then if you can, pull it up like this. So there's a Joker. Let's see him compared maybe to our Batman. Yeah, how do you like that? These two clashing together. It's a great duo. It looks really good, and the fact that we have, you know, Batman's true arch enemy, the clown prince of crime, there for Gotham's, well, I guess primal aged Gotham, and of course Batman here. It's a nice duo to have. These are two essentials I think are needed for this particular line. Let's compare him to another. One of the things I really do enjoy about what Funko is doing with the 5.5-inch characters is I do enjoy the fact that they're basically using the same body stock for all. So if you have DC characters, you can mix them with Thundercat characters. You can mix them with the horror characters. You can even mix them with some of the Street Fighter characters. So I like that they're doing this, and I think it really opens up the field to have a lot of characters and harkening back to the 80s Motu design. So all in all, I think he's a great character. I think he's one that would be good looking on a shelf, maybe next to Skeletor and some of his cronies, having him next to Batman, the other DC characters, because I am a DC collector and I enjoy He-Man. For me, this fires on both cylinders, and I think that this is a superb figure. That's the review of the 5.5-inch Joker from the DC Primal Age. In the video, I actually said that there was a missed paint opportunity, and what it was is right there where he has all the ha-ha-ha's like kind of carved in on his body and they're standing up. I really felt like there was a missed paint opportunity with having those kind of maybe pinked or kind of colored where we could see them stand out. But again, you know, the fact that they added those in, very much like Victor's ass, tells me that whoever designed this had kind of a, you know, a love for the Rogues Gallery. I never really would have thought that Joker would have translated well into that, you know, oversized 500-pound Motu muscular body, but he does fairly well. And things to note and keep in mind is, like, much like He-Man from back in the day, his ears are covered by his haircut, which I thought was a nice touch. And even like a small paint app on the teeth to make his teeth stand out. I think this is one of those figures that's firing on all cylinders, and I never would have thought that having Joker in this form would have worked. And I'm not the biggest Joker fan, but I really like this figure. I think he's probably one of my favorites out of the run so far. What do you think about him? What was your favorite part?
The ha 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 ha.
You like the scars on him?
Yeah.
I do too. I thought that was really cool. There's a couple things. I really felt like the flower probably should have been orange to kind of give it, you know, more of that Joker motif, because I always think of him as like purple, green, and orange, but you know, the yellow is fine. And I love the two daggers. I think those are super cool. But there's part of me kind of makes me wish they'd have come out. But all in all, I think he's pretty cool. Now, rating wise, how many stars would you give him?
Because he doesn't have any broken stuff.
He didn't have any broken stuff. He's actually...
I would give him 5.
You gonna give him 5? I think so too. You know, again, I never would have thought the Joker would have been one of my favorites so far to come out of this, but I really dig him. And I love the Batman as well, but I am going to go with 4 instead of giving it 5. I'm hard on not giving it 5. So a lot of it comes down to the fact that this hand, they've sculpted a finger in that makes it really hard for this weapon to sit into his hand. And that's a bit of a bummer. But that, and then the shoulder pauldron not allowing his arm to go up, because I'd really like for him to be able to pop the arm up and smack, you know, Batman on the top of the head, and he's not going to really be able to do that. I think weapon-wise, I think he's got a good choice of weapons here. I almost would have liked to seen like a couple of coattails coming out the back of his loincloth.
And
yeah.
we also like that there's a clown on that.
Oh yeah, like I love the design of the shield and even the diamond aspect of it to kind of call back to those cards. So 4.5 out of 5 stars. How about that? All right, so that's the Joker, and of course that's why I'm here talking toys. And remember, they're not dolls; they're
Action figures. Huh?
ah! If you like what you see, be sure to hit that like button. Also, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'll have more of these toy videos coming to you soon. This episode of TRG Gun was sponsored by Marvin Dog Media. To learn more about Marvin Dog Media, visit www.marvindogmedia.com.